Wow, so interesting, so fun. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday, happy full moon. It is fabulous to be here on YouTube. I'm actually really excited about this on one level because, oh my goodness, I don't have to load anything up to YouTube. How very fabulous is all of that? So we have um, a full moon happening today. It's happening in the 4 o'clock hour Eastern time, and it is a full moon of power, and it is an opportunity for each and every one of us to gather more power. And at the same time, we might find ourselves being a little, oh my God, what is going on? We have a lot of old ideas about what full moons and new moons do, and we can really get just a little stressed out with the ideas of that. And so I love that we are here um, doing a live so that we can do some healing on all of that because it is so not the truth. Our bodies actually love the light, love the downloads, love everything about a new moon or a full moon. And it's just a lot of old programming and ideas that we have that we don't love that. So my name is Bonnie Sachs. I do a live every single Sunday morning at 9:30. I've been doing lives on Facebook for several years, and then I popped over to Instagram for a while, and it was just last week that I was like, all right, it's time to go to YouTube. And so here I am playing this idea of, wow, what would it be like to be on YouTube? So whether you are somebody who likes healing and has been exposed to it a lot, or whether you are somebody who is just new to the idea of healing and maybe you're kind of skeptical, maybe you're a lot like some of my family members that go, huh, yeah, right, sure. You are welcome here. And if you have a question, you can certainly ask it. I'm not 100% sure where it's all going to show up for how I need to answer you, but you can certainly ask a question. And if you are watching this afterwards, the healing still applies to you. It's not like you have to be watching it in real time in order to be getting the healing. This is the quantum field. What we call air is also the quantum field, and the quantum field is a creative space, and it is constantly responding to us and what we put out into the field. So if you are putting really positive, upbeat, creative information, that's what you are getting back. That is exactly how the quantum field works. The flip side of that is if you are busy telling the quantum field that it is scary out there, that there's something to worry about or be in fear of, or, you have a lot of anxiety or you have a lot of anything that isn't positive, what's going to happen is you are going to see more of that. And I'm sure all of us can come up with examples in our lives how that is absolutely true. I knew it was going to happen that way. I knew that was going to work out like that. I should have known, right? All of those statements are statements that we make to remind ourselves that this is a creative field and we are busy putting out what we want. And so today we're going to be putting out a lot of high frequencies, a lot of healing, a lot of positive messages out there because this moon is magnificent. And it is what we all have been waiting for, whether we have any awareness of it or not. And I can tell you certainly there are a lot of times that I'm like, I did what? I said what? I've gone unconscious to the healing that is happening, to what I'm putting out into the field. So here's what's really cool. What's really cool is that we have an opportunity to do some healing work before the full effect of the moon happens. And this morning, as I was sitting out on my patio, which is where I have often done my lives, and now I'm upstairs in my office, I was looking at what each and every one of us most wants for today. And one of the first things that showed up is that we all want to move some of the pictures and the ideas that we have that say that this is how it is. This is how it's always been. This is how it's always going to be. And those pictures actually do sit in our physical bodies. And they are energy. And when we have an opportunity to move more of those pictures, we get to be free of them. We get to make a different decision, work with our lives in a different way. So, what we're going to do is I often talk in the we, and I don't know that everyone always understands that when I talk in the we, I'm talking about me, the girl in the body, but my higher self, as well as my healing team. And my healing team is always present and busy working on those that show up in the physical, those that show up energetically, as well as those who watch this video later. How freaking cool is that? Did you know that that's how energy works? That you don't actually have to be present in order to get the healings. So, the we, me and my healing team, we are going to move some pictures that we have. Some of these pictures are past life pictures. They are things that we experienced in a previous life. They are stuff that we've kind of held on to. It's kind of like our baggage that we have been carrying from one lifetime to another. And we get to ask your higher self whether you want to hold on to that information and have it put back in your soul personality memory bank, or whether you just want that healed. Either way, always your higher self is in charge. Your higher self is busy having a conversation going, yep, I want to keep that. That's important to me. Nope, I don't want to keep that. Let's alchemize it. So how cool is that? There are a bunch of past life pictures that you are either tossing out or putting back in your soul personality memory bank. And that soul personality memory bank is kind of like your iCloud. It's your iCloud. It's where you store information about lifetimes that you've had, about experiences that you have had, and that's where you are working from. So we get to move more of those pictures. And many of those pictures look like it's not safe to be powerful. It is not safe to be in a body. It is not safe to trust anything that is happening out there. And we have a ton of social proof out there right now where depending on your race or your religion or your politics or, you know, your social standing, you have a lot of ideas about how it is not safe to be in a body. And how that sometimes shows up is that you have reactions to what's happening out there, but it can show up as reactions in your physical body. It can show up in reactions in how you think. But many times it shows up in not only how you think, but also how you speak, what you're putting out there. Oh my God, do you know what's happening? Have you seen this? Blah, blah, right? We go into all kinds of fear conversations. And as I started this morning, I said, the quantum field is right here, and the quantum field is always listening, is always paying attention to what we're saying and giving us more of that. So if we are busy talking about how crazy it is out there and how much nonsense is going on and how people are really pissed off and angry and just talking about separation, that's what we're going to see more of. We're going to continue to see more of that because we want to heal that. The we is you, your higher self, wants to heal the fear that is inside of you, right? Your higher self is interested in going up in frequency. How cool is that? Were you aware of that? Your higher self wants to go up in frequency. That's what it's here for. That's exactly why you incarnated here on this planet at this time. You're like, yes, this is the perfect time for me to have lots of healing experiences. How interesting is it to watch that throat stuff show up? So, going to give each and every one of us a healing around our throats and ask for more gifts. More gifts? What in the world is that? You're holding out your hand and there's nothing there but air. Yeah, I thought that for a really long time. I'm like, okay, if you say there's a gift there, I'm happy to go along with your ideas of it. In fact, there are gifts in both of my hands, and there are boxes in both of my hands. There are energetic boxes, and you have them available for you as well. So you can hold out your hand and look at the boxes. One of mine is blue, and it happens to be the blue of clarity, which is a cerulean blue, has a pink bow on it. And the other box of mine is transformation. It's a purple box. Now, you can ask what boxes you have in your hands, or you can do what I did for a long time and go, all right, if you say so, and kind of trust, but maybe not trust, maybe, all right, whatever. And I'm going to put this clarity box right here in my throat, and I'm going to put this transformation box back here at my brain stem. Now, that clarity is going to help me speak with more clarity. And that transformation, that's a violet color. That's going to help transform the fear and the pain and the anger that sits back there. Now, do you really have fear, pain, and anger sitting back there at the back of your head? Yes. And we don't always know it. In fact, most of the time, we think that's all a bunch of hoo-ha. It's not actually true, that we don't actually have low frequencies. Yeah, I get pissed off and I get angry, but that's just an emotion. It is an emotion. and it's a frequency. And because we live on a planet that has really low frequencies, we often go unconscious to these energies. We often start to doubt that those energies are real. I have spent a long, long time thinking that energy isn't real. In truth, kind of trusting and hoping that it was real, but at the same time, doubting that it was real. I actually thought for the very longest time I lived in the house of atheist energy. And in fact, I did on one level because there was so much atheist energy in my body, my house in this incarnation. It was true. I lived in the house of atheist energy. And as I continued to go up in frequency, as I continued to heal the unconsciousness and the atheist and the fear and the pain energies, I started to have more awareness. I was like, oh my gosh, wow, look at that. That's actually a thought. And then I would watch some people who would talk and I would see the word, right? Whatever word they were saying, and I would see it like it was twisted and sometimes turned inside out. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And I had this awareness that that's what we often do to our language. That's what we do to our speaking. We speak words of fear that end up getting twisted. And have you ever had a moment where you were busy talking to somebody and they're like, what? I don't understand what you're saying. Sometimes that's because the words you are speaking have a lot of unconsciousness or a lot of fear or a lot of anger around them. And so they get twisted. I often think it would be really cool if I could do more graphic arts so I could illustrate what that looks like. Show that it's like this is how words get twisted. This is how our thoughts get confused, and why oftentimes we're busy communicating something to somebody, and they're kind of like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't understand. Or perhaps you are like me sometimes when my husband is talking to me and I hear him for a moment and then I don't hear the rest of what he says. And half an hour later, he goes, so I'm going to go ahead and go. And I'm like, go where? He's like, I just got finished telling you. I am going to go to the store and do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what is that? That's a lot of unconscious energy. He was speaking to me. My mom used to say it goes in one ear and out the other. Like, that's sort of true. Energetically, it goes in one ear and it hits a whole bunch of unconscious energy there in my brain. And when it comes out the other side, it doesn't look anything like what I thought it was. Makes sense, right? It's really like you go, oh, I can think of several different examples of my conversations that happen like that. Somebody says something, it goes in, gets twisted and tangled, and then I respond to the twisted and tangled thing that I perceived it as. And then that person does the same thing, right? And that person takes the twisted piece of information that I was giving out, twists it some more. It really is no surprise that we often have communication issues, that we're often like, you just don't understand me. Every time I talk, you don't listen, right? Those things happen all the time, and it's based in energy. But then you add that layer to that whole conversation where most of us go, yeah, 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 that's not what it is. It really is that he doesn't listen. It really is that she doesn't pay attention. It really is this or that. And we start pointing our fingers out there to why we have a problem. When in fact, what we could do is start to look inside. Start to look inside of ourselves and go, wow, look at that block of energy that is just filled with unconsciousness and filled with fear. And it's a frequency, right? We're talking about a frequency. We're talking about energy. Just like when you turn on a light, the light bulb comes on, that's energy, right? I can't tell you how it all works and what is behind making a light bulb work. That's not in my wheelhouse, but I can tell you that the energy is exactly the same thing as that. You put something in, turn it on, and it goes haywire, right? It becomes something other than what it was intended. Now, sometimes it can be what comes out of the person's mouth is twisted. So you don't even have a chance of getting the information the way we most want to communicate it. But we can heal that. So we're giving healing to our throats. And you have those 2 boxes that were given to you. And if you have no idea where those boxes are going to go, the super cool part of all of this is that your higher self, your soul, your essence, your true self, however you want to call that, knows where it wants to put it. Your higher self is on it all the time. Your higher self says, give me a high frequency and I'll put it where it's going to do the most good. Isn't that really cool? Like to know that you are already doing exactly what you most want to do. You are already healing the things that are in you. You just don't know it. Why don't you know it? Rewind back to the unconscious energy. Rewind back to the atheist energy. That's the reason why we have these ideas about we're not enough. We don't know how to do that. We're not sure what's going on. All of those things are because of the low frequencies that are in our bodies, right? And so we have finally hit a time period in the evolution of the planet that we can start to have more awareness of this. Isn't that cool? I do a little skippy dance like, yes, it's finally time for us to start transforming those low frequencies. I often use the analogy about how we are taking everything out of the closet so that we can clean it. We're pulling everything out of the closet and doing that like, okay, this I want to keep, this I don't need anymore, this can be transformed. We're doing that with everything on the planet. But just like if you had a really messy closet, my messy closet is 56 years old. I've had a really messy closet. If I had 56 years of stuff gathered in a closet, there'd be a lot of stuff there. There would be a lot of things to sort through. And there would be times where I'm feeling overwhelmed. There would be times when I'm like, enough, peace out, I'm done. I'm going to just go veg on the sofa. There are going to be times when I'm like, I'm never going to get through this. There's no way I'm ever going to get through this. Totally makes sense, right? Totally makes sense. But we are getting through it. Little bit by little bit by little bit. We are getting through it. And so we get to heal more of that. I'm never going to be done. It's never going to be finished. Because many of you showed up and said, hey, can we get rid of those clocks, those ideas that I'm never going to get through this? You absolutely are going to get through it. So, what can you do as a person? What kinds of things can you do practically to go up in frequency? One, you can wake up in the morning and ask for more love. You can ask for more joy. You can ask for more awareness or more consciousness or more clarity. You can ask for more creativity. You can ask for more knowing, right? Somebody give me some more knowing so that I remember who I am. Oh, and when you do that, make sure you add some trust. That trust frequency where you go, yes, it must be true. It must be true. Add more of that. You can read more books that are positive and uplifting. I personally love Paul Selig books. They're very spiritual books. And he channels the High Council of Source called Melchizedek. He calls them the guides. I love those books. Didn't always love them, but I love them now. But you will follow your own higher self's guidance. You'll be walking through the store and suddenly see a book and you're like, oh, I'm going to read that. Do that. You can also participate in classes. Watch videos. Join me here on Sunday mornings where we will do more healings and have more conversations about energy healing. There's lots of words for that. If you're really ready to dive in, you can dive into a class with me, which is starting on Tuesday. It is a class called Mastery of Your Information, and I will be happy to put a link in. This is what Kat, who teaches it with me, Kat and I say, take a look at the information. Ask your higher self, is this for me? If you get a no, ditch it and move on to something else. If you get a yes, join us. Have some fun. Heal some stuff, learn some information. All perfect, right? What else can you do? You can also at any time ask for a healing, ask for a gift. You have that ability whether you remember it or not. You're driving somewhere and you find yourself really struggling. You're really tired. Can I please have an energetic cup of coffee? Hold out your hand. Don't hold out your hand. Put it where you most want it. Trust that you are a higher self having an incarnation in a body, and it's always available to you. You're struggling in a different way. Trust that you can ask for help. You might go to one of the members of the angelic realm if that's your jam. You might go directly to source and say, yo, I'm really struggling here. Trust that. big secret to all of it is trust, trust, trust. And there is a whole bunch of trust raining down on all of us. Trust yourself. You are way more powerful, way more amazing than you remember, than you know. You're absolutely amazing. And so we have some last gifts dropping in. There are ribbons of light for each and every person. Your ribbons of light will look different than my ribbons of light. My higher self is like, yeah, I want those. Your higher self is like, ooh, I'll have some of those. So they won't necessarily look the same, but they're just as powerful. They're exactly designed for you, and you can trust that. I am getting ribbons of joy because I definitely want some more joy. I'm getting ribbons of wonder. Wonder is that cerulean blue as well. And I'm getting ribbons of trust, 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 because I am still in that process of trusting my higher self and trusting what the next thing is I'm supposed to do. I didn't want to get on YouTube this morning. I wanted to stay in my own little comfort zone where I was, knew how everything worked, knew where the chat was, knew how to see what was happening. But I'm trusting that my higher self is leading me down the path where I'm most supposed to go. And so I hope for each and every one of you, hope, it's a high frequency, that you have a totally amazing full moon day, that you take the time to trust more, to give yourself some love, to give yourself a break, to know that you are way more amazing than you could even imagine. And I hope you'll join me back here next Sunday for another round of healing and talking about spiritual concepts. Hope you have a fabulous day. Take care.